And now, ladies and gentlemen, the star of our show, direct from the bar,
PB.
Oh yeah, welcome. So if you've been asleep these last couple of weeks and not really paying attention to what's going on in Iraq, there's a lot of reshaping taking place. Some of it was expected, but not at this level. Very interesting about what's going on in Iraq. And the point person on this is definitely Trump. Let's get into this. Before we get started, do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button. If you're not a subscriber, please do so, because when you do, it helps out the channel, and I certainly do appreciate it. So it looks like our beast in the Middle East is going to be Trump. This guy, when he says he wants world peace, he means it. And anybody that is against this world peace, there's a problem, and that's Trump. So Trump helped negotiate the end of a 30-year war, Rwanda. 30 years these people have been fighting one another. Trump brought them to the White House. They negotiated a peace deal. Let's see how that holds out. Also, one of the biggest problems that Trump has in the Middle East is Iran. They seem to be financing all these proxy wars going on everywhere. So why not just take out the problem? And that's exactly what Trump is doing. He's reshaping what's going on in the Middle East. And you're going to be able to tell by this article that we're getting ready to go over. But first of all, pay attention to this. Iraq's economy grew by 4.1% in 2025. Well, aren't we still in 2025? Yes, we are. This is the halfway mark, and they've already grown 4.1%. For those holding on to the Iraqi stock, this is great news, of course. We want Iraq to continue to grow. So the International Monetary Fund projected on Sunday that Iraq will rank fourth amongst the Arab oil-producing countries in terms of economic growth in 2025. According to the data revealed by the IMF, the Iraqi economy is expected to grow by 4.1% compared to 0.1% in 2024. That's a 4% increase in growth. Libya will have the highest economic growth rate at 13.7%, followed by the UAE at 5.1%, Saudi Arabia at 4.6%, Algeria at 4%, according to the IMF. In early May, the IMF reduced its growth projections for Middle East and North Africa oil exporting countries, including Iraq and Saudi Arabia. The IMF lowered its 2025 projection for the regional oil exporters to 2.3%, which was 1.7% less than the fund's October predictions, according to the Financial Post. The World Bank expected in mid-June that the Iraqi economy would grow by 1.2% in 2025, rebounding from a contractual negative 1.5% in 2024. According to the World Bank analysts, Iraq's economic growth is predicted to peak at 4.4% in 2026 before falling to 3.1% in 2027. Well, if they get that road built and finish the Port of Fall, I would expect to see more growth, but we'll see. The World Bank country director for the Middle East Department confirmed in March that bank's commitment to helping Iraq to meet its development objectives. With the emphasis on sustainable development, the World Bank places a high priority on strengthening Iraq's capacity to handle economic and development difficulties, according to Carrot. All right, this is definitely the thing I'm talking about right here. So Trump just isn't demanding world peace and getting it. They're anticipating that by the end of this year, Trump would have brokered peace on 4 different wars. 4 different wars. Congo and Rwanda, 30-year war. But anyways, back to this. As the Israel-Iran war concludes, the U.S. moves to reset Iraq's political order. See what it says there? The U.S. moves to reset Iraq's political order. So right from the jump street, it said in the past week, 2 interconnected developments have unfolded in Iraq. The U.S. has stepped in to mediate between Erbil and Baghdad over the KRG's unpaid salaries and stalled oil exports. Simultaneously, Washington has applied financial pressure on Iraq to halt salary payments to pro-Iran Shia militia. According to the reshuffling, Iraq's federal court Chief Justice Al-Umaidi, a figure central to the controversial ruling on the KRG and Sunni leadership, has been removed. So that guy that was in their Supreme Court that was causing all kinds of problems, he was fighting cases in favor of Iranian-backed situations, causing a lot of tension in the Middle East. So that person has been removed. These events appear to mark the early contours of a broader U.S. efforts to reshape Iraq's internal balance of power following the collapse of Iran's regional deterrence. One of the things I spoke about over the years is Iraq can never get their crap together because of the Iranian influence. If you can remove that influence, I really believe that Iraq could flourish. Since the Hamas-led attack on Israel on October 7th, 2023, the Middle East has undergone a dramatic realignment. The long-standing regional balance built on deterrence dynamic between Iran's network of armed proxy and Israel's U.S.-backed military edge has unraveled. In recent months, Israel has gone on the offensive, dismantling Hezbollah's core capabilities, accelerating the collapse of the Assad regime, and degrading Hamas's infrastructure. Yeah, they've been on a tear in the Middle East. No pun intended. On June 13th, Israel took the unprecedented step of launching direct attacks on Iran. While the Iranian regime has survived, the capacity to project power has been severely diminished. As a matter of fact, there are reports coming out of Iran that they're starting to become unstable and people are rising up. They want the regime change to take place. For whatever reason, Trump is not putting a huge emphasis on regime change. As Israel turns its attention to Yemen's Houthis, with reports of an impeding air campaign, Iraq and its powerful Shia militia, arguably Iran's most entrenched proxy foothold, have become the next major arena. But unlike in Yemen or Lebanon, the U.S. appears to be pursuing a bloodless political recalibration in Iraq rather than a military confrontation. Yeah, especially with all the building and effort that Iraq has made, the last thing you want to do is go in there and set them back in any way, shape, or form. So today, a crucial meeting between the KRG and Baghdad is taking place. But what's missing from the headlines is that the meeting was initiated and is being mediated by the United States, with American diplomats present to facilitate a breakthrough in Erbil-Baghdad negotiations. Man, can you imagine this? No more fighting between Israel and Iran. No more fighting between Palestine and Israel. All those little conflicts that are taking place, all just stop. And then Trump brings peace to the Middle East. To find middle ground, the U.S. is pushing for Iraqi government to send KRG salaries immediately. A simple but urgent demand, as KRG public employees haven't been paid for 2 months, and public anger is mounting. Since the KRG is a key component in the U.S. strategy to reshape Iraq, Washington doesn't want the region destabilized. That's the thing about these people over in Iraq. Not getting paid for months at a time. Unbelievable. In this particular paragraph, what you see Trump doing is rearranging the power structure within the Middle East, especially in Iraq. It says, interestingly, while the U.S. is pushing for the resumption of KRG's oil exports to balance demands, as unilateral Iraqi consensus might destabilize factions within the Iraqi government willing to work with the U.S., there is a specific American requirement. Oil exports must flow through KRG pipelines, not the Kirkuk-Turkey pipeline operated by the Iraqi government. This is a crucial signal. Washington seeks not just a resolution, but a recalibrated energy arrangement that reinforces the KRG's autonomy without provoking Baghdad's collapse. Now, I want to point something out in this particular paragraph that is spoken about several times. It says, while technical details are expected to be negotiated, the bigger picture is what matters. This is happening alongside a similar U.S. push to cut PMF salaries, a completely opposite approach with the same logic, given that these mark the first time Shia militia salaries have been delayed among scorching heat and upcoming national elections. The goal is precisely the opposite of what the U.S. wants for the KRG, to disintegrate the Amelia militia and force their dismantlement and integration into the national Iraqi army. This demand has been on the table for months following the collapse of Iran's regional order. But the U.S. now appears to have activated its threat to cut Iraq from its financial lifeline. You see what it says here? To cut Iraq from its financial lifeline. And how are they going to do that? The U.S. Federal Reserve account, where nearly all of Iraqi oil export revenues flow and which finances Iraq's entire budget. Do you see that? And why do I bring this to your attention? Because of this that everybody got hooked on.
But we have billions of dollars into that. I said, if we leave, you got to pay us. If we leave, you have to pay us for embassies. You have to pay us for the money we put in.
How are you going to collect?
Well, we have a lot of their money right now. We have a lot of their money. We have $35 billion of their money right now sitting in an account. And I think they'll agree to pay.
Oh, what about that $35 billion that Pimpy told you guys so many times? This is the account I'm talking about. The U.S. Federal Reserve account where nearly all of Iraq's oil export revenues flow and which finances Iraq's entire budget. No, we're not invested in their currency. No, we're just not magically holding on to Iraqi Dinar. What he was talking about was this specific account right here. At any time, we could stop it and just take their money. There's $35 billion in this account. That was way back then. I don't know how much is in there now. This is why I keep warning you guys, not get sucked into what all these so-called gurus are talking about, because they're full of crap. United States is not invested in Iraqi Dinar, and the money that he was talking about, the $35 billion, is this account right here, which is exactly what I said. So to remove this justice out of the federal courts, put in a new chief justice, they're realigning the flow of the oil, so that's not going through Turkey, but instead is going to be going through Kurdistan region. Trump is negotiating right now how that power structure is going to go. The amount of money that Kurdistan was getting, which was $50 billion, has increased to $150 billion. And Iraq has been able to do all this stuff without getting involved in conflicts. Good job, al-Sudani. Now, November comes election time. Let's see what happens then. So the economy has grown by 4.1%, which is way above the expected amount. Good job, Iraq. That's a good job for us people who are invested in the Iraqi stock exchange. We're happy to see that kind of growth. With Trump appearing to remove the grasp that Iran has on Iraq, this will give Iraq a lot of room to grow without any interference whatsoever. Iraq just moving forward, continuing with the projects that they have. Everything is looking very well for Iraq. I'm very happy for them. Let's hope that Trump does somehow install peace in the Middle East, which would be nice. Iranian nuclear facilities were bombed. There are rumors that some of the material was taken out ahead of time. Trump denies that, saying that did not happen, but the people that I talked to from time to time said a little bit did get away. And where do you think it's going? Yeah, Syria, because of some underground facilities that are there. Anyways, that's it for now. Let me know what you think. It's looking really good. Let's hope this growth continues. Let's hope we hit peace in the Middle East. Like we know right now there's a hold on the exchanges. Let's hope this pans out to something. Anyways, that's it for now. Get back at you later. I'm out.